Hi everyone, my name is Kian and I am the Associate Director of Operations here at ACE in Flagstaff, Arizona. And today we're going to be talking about all the clothes and things that you're going to bring into the field with you for an 8-day hitch. So I'm going to start by talking about pants. If you're out there for 8 days, you're probably going to want one or two, well absolutely one pair of pants, but maybe two. It would be a real bummer if on the first or second day you maybe blew out the hem on the back or got a big hole in the knee or something. So sometimes two pairs is nice. Also, folks, depending on the season, in the summertime, folks will often bring a pair of shorts to wear after work. A lot of women like to wear leggings after work. Anything that makes you comfortable. It could be a pair of sweatpants. Something to change into after work could be nice. During the colder months, I highly suggest bringing a pair of long john style base layer. These are always great if you can get them in wool, but cotton will work. It's just, you want to try to avoid cotton in cold weather. But during really, really cold hitches, having a pair of these will make all the difference. You're going to have work shirts. These will be provided by ACE when you get here. You'll be provided with 2 long sleeve work shirts and 1 short sleeve work shirt. The reason you get 2 long sleeves is because some of our projects actually require you to be wearing long sleeves. Anytime you're working with barbed wire, anytime you'd be working with herbicide, if you're working near a chainsaw or if you're operating a chainsaw, you need to have long sleeves. My suggestion is that you bring 2 work shirts out for an 8-day hitch. That way you can switch midway through. They are going to get gross. If you're doing manual labor, for 10 hours a day, you're going to get sweaty most of the time. So having 2 shirts so you can change out midweek, I think is important. Also, speaking of shirts, it's nice to have something to change into after work as well. Get out of that sweaty work shirt. It can be anything, t-shirt, long sleeve, flannel, whatever you're comfortable in. Doesn't really matter, but it's nice to have something to change out of. And I have one more layer here as well. It's going to be important to layer up and layer down throughout the day. Here in the desert, temperature swings can be quite drastic from nighttime to daytime. So you may wake up and it could be 30 degrees, but by 2 p.m. it's 60 degrees. So this is a layering item. It's wool as well, which can be nice, and it's a good one to put over your work shirt to keep you a little bit warmer, but you can take it off during the day if you get hot. Speaking of layers, it's always good to have something like a fleece or maybe a sweatshirt. Again, anything cotton, you want to try to avoid. A lot of hooded sweatshirts are cotton, so if you can find something that's going to be synthetic or wool, that's going to be better. Fleece is great. It's a great layering item. Also, I prefer having something that you can zip off as opposed to having to take off over your head. You might have a hat on, you might have a hard hat on. Might be more a nuisance to take it off that way. So, for those cold mornings, you're going to want a nice warm coat. The puffy coats are very popular with our core members. They find they work really well. You can get them in synthetic and in down. Synthetic are cheaper and will keep you warm even if they get wet. This is a down puffy and it's packs down really well. It's very light, it's very warm, but if it were to get wet, it's not going to keep you warm anymore. So you need to keep that in consideration. They're also far more expensive than synthetic. So that's a decision you'll need to make for yourselves. I also see folks in some of like the thicker Carhartt style jackets. They can be really nice as well. The only drawbacks to them is they're heavier and I don't think they keep you quite as warm. But you want something to keep you warm. Those mornings can be very, very cold. Speaking of the cold, I think it's a great idea to give yourself a nice hat to keep yourself warm that you want to have on, and a pair of gloves. These are fingerless, but you can get finger gloves that are fleece. You can also, I've seen folks out there in full winter mitts that you might use for like snowboarding or something. Depending on the time of year, it can be very cold, and especially your hands in the mornings get really cold really fast, and it's nice to have something to put on them to keep them warm so you can still do your morning activities. All right, so for an 8-day hitch, I generally would bring out 3 to 4 pairs of underwear to switch out of. A lot of sweating is going to be happening, so they can get gross pretty quick. Again, if you can avoid cotton, it's better, but most of your underwear out there does come in cotton. There are a couple brands that make underwear specifically for outdoor activities. One of those is Exo, and they make underwear for men and for women. And then for guys, there's a brand called Saxx, which is spelled S-A-X-X. And they make really nice underwear for men for outdoor activities. They just are very expensive. I think they run about $30 a pair, so it's tough to have a lot of them. All right, so socks. Socks are very important, and having good socks is very important. Unfortunately, they can get pricey, but I do think it's worth it. You want to take care of your feet. So I have 4 pairs of socks here, but on a hitch, I would actually have 8 pairs. I would bring a pair for every day, and I might even bring an extra pair to sleep in. You don't want cotton for these. You avoid cotton at all costs when it comes to socks. Wool is best, but it can be very expensive, so any kind of synthetic or like a poly wool blend is good. Some good brands to look out for. Smart Wool makes really nice socks. Darn Tough is a sock brand that is actually my personal favorite sock brand. They can get expensive, but they have a lifetime warranty. So if you wear out the heel, you get holes in them, you send them in, they send you a brand new pair. So that's a really good brand to use. You know, I have a couple different styles here. You know, this particular style, these are from REI. They're really thick, great for winter. And then down to this pair, which is more like a medium weight sock. I don't suggest getting anything less than a medium weight. Anything thinner than this is going to increase your likelihood of getting blisters. But socks are important. They can get pricey, but I suggest to spend a little bit of money and get yourself good socks and have a pair for every single day. Another thing that people really like is called a buff, and you know, they're sort of flexible, and people often wear these around their neck. You can wear them in the winter, it'll help keep you warm, but also during even warmer temperatures, they can be really nice to keep the sun off your neck. They're relatively thin, so they don't actually make you that hot. They can also be folded and worn as a headband as well, maybe under your hard hat. I personally like to do that myself. Very versatile, not very expensive. You can get them almost anywhere. I like to have some kind of footwear that's an alternate to your work boots to put on after the work day is over. You're gonna have these on for 10 hours a day. When you leave to go out on hitch, you're gonna have your boots on. It is nice to get your feet out of them, let them breathe a little bit. They're just like these are Sunuks, they're just a canvas, easy slip on, nice and comfy for around camp. During the summer, people often like to wear chacos or some other type of sandal, which is perfectly fine. The only thing I'd caution folks is that we are in scorpion territory, and we have had folks get stung by scorpions on the feet in the past when they've had sandals on. Scorpions are not going to kill you. You're just going to be very uncomfortable for a day or two, but it is something to consider. Also, when you're in the cooking area where there's hot water, hot oil, and sharp knives, you're not allowed to be in open-toed shoes, so sandals would not be allowed to be worn in the kitchen area. Something to keep in mind. All right, so a couple of the extra bits that you'd want to bring. You're always going to want a headlamp with you when you're out there. It gets dark quick, especially in the winter. You'll be going to sleep in the dark and waking up in the dark as well. So having a headlamp is going to be very important. And make sure you also bring extra batteries for it. I like to have my toiletries in a bag. Almost all the places that we work here in Arizona and in New Mexico are in bear territory. It's black bear territory, but they do have a great sense of smell and will get into your tent during the day if you leave smellables in there. So during the day and at night, we never have anything in our tents that has a scent. So Your toiletries will be either kept in the van, in the trailer, or if you're in the backcountry, in a bear hang bag. But I like the toiletry bag to keep all my stuff organized. Also in my tent, I always bring a Lucy light. There's a little blow up lamp here. You can hook it into your tent. It's also solar powered. You can get these at an outdoor store for about 20 bucks. And they're really nice. You can gives enough ambient light in your tent for you to do and see all, do all your activities and see well enough. And they can be charged during the day. Folks often will bring out like a Bluetooth speaker with them to listen to music at camp. We don't want you listening to music during the workday. You know, we don't want your desire to listen to music to affect someone else's experience as they're trying to hike through, and they're not going out there to hear your music. So no music during the day, but at camp, absolutely feel free. All we ask is that you're respectful if you have neighbors of both volume and the content of the music. And then the last thing I have here is a book. Now this one's Mountaineering First Aid, which I probably wouldn't be curling up to at night, but I found when I was leading crews for ACE, I never read more. We often joke that 9 p.m. is trail midnight, so you're going to be in your tents relatively early when it gets dark. There's not a lot to do. So oftentimes people will curl up in their tent and read a book. So that's something I always brought out with me. And those are the things that I would be bringing out for an 8-day hitch. You can bring them out in several different ways. I usually just put my stuff in a duffel bag. You can also put it in like a large backpack as well. Totally up to you. In the front country, which means basically car camping, we'll have trailers, and there's a lot of room in those trailers, so you can bring a fair amount of stuff. You're going to tweak your personal packing system, make it work for you. That's totally fine. You can also speak to other Corps members when you get here. They're going to have a lot of insight about what they're bringing. But for me, this is a pretty standard packing system.